There we go. Okay, I'm gonna call the ordinance subcommittee meeting, April 26th, 6 p.m. To order. Do we have any minutes that we need to approve? I don't.
I had sent them at the end of the last meeting.
Okay.
Did you receive them? Like when we were still in here?
Yeah, I did. So I'm fine to approve those. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Obviously, there's no mayor. Do you want to public speak or?
No, I'm just here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so new business is the medical marijuana zoning amendment. I haven't reached out to them to come, but I mean we know what they want, which is the basically the change of time, 2 hours on either end, and we do have our joint public hearing set with the planning board for June 3rd.
Right.
So there's not a lot to be done there really, other than a discussion that we can have.
Except that there was one clarification that I had,
Yes.
and that was, I thought that the proposal from the attorney, what he had requested when he visited us, was to request 2 hours for opening for customers after the 8 p.m. deadline, which is currently there, and 2 hours on the front end for truck delivery.
Truck
only.
delivery.
But what I thought I saw the planning board, or the board, what the proposal say 2 hours on either side.
With
So-
storefront?
Yeah, I mean I think that.
So from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m.
So here's a clarification. So what we're doing is we're amending the zoning, right? So the zoning says that the dispensary can operate between the hours of 8 and 8.
That is
It
correct.
doesn't specify what type of operation.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? So in the zoning it doesn't say
Right.
opening for selling or opening for working on, doing deliveries or doing pickups or whatever. There's no differentiation. That differentiation would be within the purview of the applicant when they are getting their special permit through the planning board.
Or it could be by zoning.
Or it could be by zoning, but I don't necessarily know that it would have to be that complicated because they have to go through the special permit process anyway. And I honestly don't think that they would have any reason to open at 6 in the morning. And if they did, I don't think it would cause any problems necessarily, but I also don't think they would get any business. Like it just doesn't to
I mean,
me.
if their business decision is one thing.
Yeah.
We wanted to do it is another. I just
Yeah.
wanted to be sure that I wasn't misreading.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
What I heard the attorney saying, this would be granting more than what he was saying. This is putting into zoning ordinance more than what he had requested.
yeah, I mean,
Because he had requested trucks only from 6 to 8 a.m.
I mean that was the feeling I got, but I don't necessarily think that within the zoning we have to specify that. Because, like, I don't know what cause it would further to say trucks only for certain. Well, what if they wanted to have their employees in there doing work? Would that?
The employees could work anyway. I mean, we're talking about open
Yeah.
hours of operation for retail
The
sales.
public, yeah.
For the public.
For the public. So, I mean, I don't. That's something that we can
Just
talk about.
wanted to mention that.
I think so. We have the seasonal cottage zoning amendment. Have you guys had a chance to look at that, or do you want to move on to other things before we go into
I
that?
looked at it briefly, I'm not quite sure
I think in order to
how to begin to digest it.
Right, well, I think in order
It's a big proposal.
in order to delve more deeply, it would be nice to have Jessica here. So I think maybe we can take that one up at our next meeting. We still have the human rights ordinance. I haven't heard from Councilor Hayes. I still would like.
I have an item.
I still would like. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to have, a human rights committee where things within the community could be addressed in maybe like a way that is a conduit for citizens to share concerns that might be able to get to the mayor or to the police chief, and it could be a starting point.
That
but
may not be a criminal complaint.
no,
right?
I would say definitely not a
Yeah,
criminal complaint.
yeah.
Like not even close to that. That like much before that. But I would like to see what Councilor Hayes kind of had in mind with this. I mean, what the packet I got didn't make a lot of sense to me. The one that she gave us before, so I would like to talk to her. I don't know if you guys read it. It's this large, I think it's from like Chicago. Where is it? Maybe I don't have it. Did she give you a copy of that?
I have an electronic copy of it. I remember when she came in
Yeah.
to that meeting, and I remember there were concerns about the role of private citizens versus police.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seemed like, from what I gathered from that document, it was more like a way, you know, when there are issues with police issues, you know, like,
Almost like a police commission as opposed to the human rights.
yeah, but more like, you know, more like, someone was shot, or, you know, something bad happened that needed an impartial, venue that wasn't it wasn't a police commission, but it was still an arm of the city. I don't think we necessarily have that problem. Like Chicago, I can see probably would have an issue with those types of things. We don't. So I think ours would have to look different.
Well, when JP and I had taken that up before, I know I had talked about the liaison idea.
Yeah, like a city council liaison.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look back to the whole sanctuary city issue,
Mm-hmm.
I do think that underlying both sides of that issue was this feeling of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I think one side of the issue's fear was kind of dissipated with not having Sanctuary City move forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for people who wanted Sanctuary City, that was almost more of a concern about race relations and marginalization
Mhm.
within the city, and how do you approach the police safely.
Right.
So I think that gives an opportunity. I still think that the city council could become trained in diversity issues, and I think that would be necessary to be a liaison.
Sure.
And then just be available for if someone did want to talk with the police about, hey, I'm concerned about this. And one
Mhm.
example was, okay, so I have kids who are teenagers,
Mhm.
and can we have an open meeting about what do they do if they do get pulled over,
Right.
and things like that.
Right.
Having someone on the city council that's out of the power dynamic of both the mayor and the police chief, because you're the direct, supervisor, police chief, and we're the only other representatives of the city that have been elected by the city. And it's not in the same way of let's police the police, but
Right.
rather let's make another avenue so that people can access the police if they need to.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think the training. But I would say, and I'm not in a position to make any recommendations, but I would say that it would probably be beneficial for the entire city, police department, city council, mayor's office, whoever is interacting with the public in any form, to have that type of training.
Yeah, I always think that kind of training.
And maybe even especially for the police.
Mhm.
Because, you know, we are becoming a more diverse city,
Yeah.
and it's important to be proactive and look like, not just be proactive, but like have the appearance for everybody to know that we are trying.
Mhm.
And so I don't know how this.
I'm not sure that the police don't have that as part of their.
I'm not sure either,
academy
but
training.
the
I
fact
don't
that you
know.
don't know that speaks to the fact that
we
it's.
should have the training, that
Mhm.
everyone who works for the city probably should have the training, that the whole community have the training.
Well, that's,
would be
yeah, exactly.
desirable.
Yeah.
And I think we all can learn more.
Yeah.
About how to put ourselves in other people's shoes.
But I think what you just said speaks volumes. You don't know if they've had that training.
Are you
So-
aware of any?
He's mentioned so many times at the meetings all the different things they're trained in, so it would be a really good thing to know.
Yeah.
Just for
It's just one of those
informational
other
purposes.
things that
Yeah.
would be good. So, and maybe this could be, you know, if we decide to go the route of a city council liaison, that could be the kind of thing that it becomes. I don't think that would be, I think maybe if we decided to go that route, that wouldn't be an ordinance. It would probably be it would probably be sent to rules. It would probably be part of, created under the rules umbrella, as another role within the council.
Yeah, I mean, the council has the ability to create new committees, and I don't know if it would be a committee per se, because one of the things that the chief was concerned about was that if we met as a group with an individual who then wanted to go talk to the police,
Mm-hmm.
then you get into open meeting laws.
Right.
Whereas if it was an individual, and that's why I almost think like just being trained as another tool of access for anyone in East Hampton, to be able to have the training and then to be able to have the right to say I'm not comfortable bringing that forth, or I am comfortable, or
Mhm.
having people have more than one person to choose from.
Mhm, yeah.
I think that becomes an important process.
I think so too. I think so too. And so, like, as far as what we have here,
Mhm.
you know, I won't try to force this out of committee yet,
Yeah.
because that role I don't think would have to be that would not be an ordinance.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
creating that role, if we wanted to formally create it, would be through rules, or because we'd amend.
Or for the council to just organize a committee, either a permanent committee.
Either a permanent committee but if
or an ad hoc committee,
But I think what Tamara is saying is
human rights.
saying like having one liaison of the city council,
Or they have one.
because that way you can
Or
avoid
Or two or three.
that way you avoid
I think
open
anyone
meeting
who
laws.
wants to be trained and could be eligible for that
Mhm.
would be fine, because I don't think you necessarily want to restrict people's choices. Like,
Sure.
if I was having an issue about LGBT rights, I might not be the person
Right.
that I would choose to go to, and I wouldn't want to limit someone
Sure.
from that, because people, and I think that gets to the whole point that the council has been elected, and so
Mhm.
for each individual on the council, they were elected for very specific
Sure.
access.
So almost having all of us get trained, and then it's as the citizen has an issue, they choose who they would like to approach, and then we'll just be better equipped to deal and manage whatever their issue is, so we can pass it on to the right area.
Or, yes, but I also think that it takes care of, all right, when you think of people who may be scared to go to the police, even just
Mhm.
asking a question, I don't think that's only race. I think that's
No.
also social class. I
Mhm.
think people in poverty are less likely to want to go to the police. I think people who have a history of mental illness, people who have a history of felonies,
Mhm.
there are many different ways to feel unable to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think being able to partner with the police and make sure that we're aware that we're making sure that everyone has the access that they need is smart for the city, and takes it away from the language with the human rights ordinance. I worry that is furthering more of that same
Division.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas building bridges between the community and the police and creating more avenues of access for people, I think,
Yeah.
just seems to be more of a building a safety net throughout East Hampton.
We're looking at opening doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe what we'll do, leave it on the agenda for now,
Okay.
and let's explore, potentially removing it without prejudice at some point in the future, with the intention of trying to create a informal liaison program through training of the council. I had an issue just the other day where I had a constituent call and had an issue where he did not feel comfortable calling the police, and he wanted to call me, and I was like, I really don't know how to help you. And and his issue was complicated with housing and all sorts of different things that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was better prepared to deal with that, that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
So.
I've had people contact me too, and sometimes I just need more information
Yeah.
from the police about how to go about
Yeah.
that. I wouldn't know, but if I don't know, and I'm in a relative position of privilege to be able to access
Mhm.
that information, I would prefer to be able to use that to someone's advantage so they don't feel intimidated versus, good luck, you know?
You know, the other thing too, people, are under the understanding when they call the police department, get dispatch, they think that's the police.
Mm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's very different. They're not police officers, nor, I mean, they don't portray themselves to be, but when you're calling that number, you're assuming you have the police department. You
Mhm.
don't.
Yeah.
You know, they don't assume that they have the fire department, but they do. They go, well, I talked to police, but no, you didn't.
Mhm.
So maybe a little
Mhm.
bit more of a liaison on that end too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like a liaison contact on both ends.
Mhm.
But you hear it all the time. Well, I called. It's like they said to call you. I'm thinking, that's what I tell you to call me. You know. But dispatch is because it's your 911 or your police department. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it does say if you want the police press to it. You know what I mean?
I
It's
do know
not
what you
as
mean.
streamlined.
Yeah.
It can, somebody might just hang up thinking they're speaking to them and they're not. And they're not gonna get the answers from that because they're not officers.
And that's a concern too, that someone just stop trying because they get
Mhm.
too frustrated, particularly if it's,
Mhm.
there's so many issues people can have that they freeze over or feeling very uncomfortable. And maybe not for everybody, for that one person though. And that, I just, yeah. I think it could work in a different way than,
I would hope the public would call us for any reason to liaison with any department,
Mm.
or to deal directly with the departments, and if we can be of assistance, we'll be.
right, right.
Yep. Okay. All right, so we'll revisit that.
So as a matter of fact, we have 2 officers. We're training on that all day today.
Oh, yeah?
So we have a couple that are at training. Our chief is at training.
Okay.
What are they
And
being
those
trained
were
in?
at fair and impartial policing training all day today, which is funny that we're asking today and
I know.
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
I knew I had a couple out of training. I know that the chief is out at a training too, but, so the answer is yes, but as a matter of fact, as we speak. And that means that they all have regular training, but,
Mhm.
you know, up to date, I mean, it's up to date, not just when, before
Mhm.
you're hired.
Yep. Okay. So the next one is more of an update because we don't really have anything to move on. But the request to consider recreational marijuana. I went to the planning board's forum last week,
Mhm.
and I think I might have been one of 2 people there. I think the other one was someone who thought they were going to the school committee. And you know, it was,
Liaison.
yeah, exactly. So there wasn't much happening.
Yeah.
Nothing new from what Jessica talked to us about. So, you know, they were, the planning board was talking about what their particular options were, and they were saying some of the things that they were talking about was timelines and what do they do if someone brings an application in before, and there was kind of a mixed discussion around moratorium. Some thought that might be a good idea but weren't really sure. Some did not think it was a good idea, and so I think that they're going to continue to talk about that, and we'll kind of stay abreast of it, I would say.
Mhm.
And it does sound like they have a draft of the sign ordinance
Mhm.
done.
Great.
So,
Sign ordinance separate from marijuana?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yep, separate. Yeah. But we still have that on our agenda because we're waiting for them to get the sign ordinance done. But I think probably what we'll do.
Will they be having additional meetings on their own, or do you think?
For the sign, or
For the sign
Yep.
before they send us something?
Yeah, I don't
or
think-
will they
I
send
think-
us something in before?
I think the impression I got was they would like that we should look at it and give feedback, and do that before they finish up their deliberations, and then they'll send it from there. But I think they do. I think they're feeling a little isolated. That they would like some feedback from us.
Mhm.
So maybe we can work on that for.
It's on our agenda.
It's on our
It certainly
agenda.
makes sense.
Yeah. And then I think that we have so food truck. I said, remember I said I was going to contact Jackie and I was going to talk to the chief. Did I tell you what their responses were?
No.
Okay. So Jackie said, we do it already. We collaborate with the fire already. And then let me see if I can pull up the Chief Motter's response. And he was like, yeah, it might get done, but if the propane goes on the ground, then we don't have authority to check it or something.
So if the propane bottle goes on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just see what she says. Okay. All right. So she said, the fire department, specifically Captain Wayne Henneman, as fire safety officer, inspects all food trucks at the present. We coordinate this back and forth for food trucks and other vendors that use propane at outdoor events. So that's good. That means we don't even have to worry about it.
Mhm.
And then Dave said, it can be either policy has no teeth for enforcement if a vendor violates it, other than one department not issuing a permit to the vendor. The problem with the current fire code is smaller tanks are exempt from getting a permit from the fire department as long as the tank is attached to the truck and not on the ground. It doesn't lessen the potential threat to public safety, it's just a loophole in the code. So I'm not exactly sure how to interpret that, other than sounds like he feels like maybe they could have more oversight over the propane tanks, but I don't necessarily think that we've had a problem with it yet. And
I was gonna say, it sounds like he's thinking worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like intentionally
And-
using a bunch of propane.
and passing an ordinance just for that one inspection, all by itself. So if we're not going to do another food truck, if it's not part of a bigger food truck ordinance,
Yeah.
to me doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I'm almost thinking, like, it seems like Jackie says it's taken care of. We coordinate with the fire, and go from there.
So it would be a recommendation that we remove it?
I think that the recommendation is that we take the food truck ordinance off our agenda without prejudice.
Is there any reason, we'd always talked about parking.
Parking.
In the various parking spaces.
Mhm.
It's my recollection that the trucks are oversized for the parking
Mhm.
spaces. Would that eliminate them from being able to park in those spaces?
For
or
those,
not?
for normal spaces, it would. For these spaces, a truck could park because they could go out beyond.
Do we need an ordinance to be sure that those spaces wouldn't apply,
So
or not?
I thought about this a lot, and I don't think that for a while I thought that we would, and I think at the moment when I was thinking that, I think I was overreaching. I think I was trying to find something to make this ordinance worthwhile. And I came to the realization that I was mistaken, and that if it becomes an issue, then we can act. But it has never been an issue. It's like trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist.
So let's not go there.
I mean, I think in any paved parking spot painted on, I know it goes out, but then I think it also curves in, right? So if a food truck was beyond
The
that,
parking,
you
they'd
would
be
be able.
in violation of the parking.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Within
think,
the set limits.
but I think that's already established by the actual parking.
So if a food truck comes in and it's really tiny,
Yeah.
oh well.
Miniature food truck, yeah. So anyway, so
Oh, well. But if it's oversized, then we've already covered it.
So they can go on private property.
yeah, they can go on private
Without a
property.
problem.
With-
Yeah.
What
we have
about-
no control
but you
over that.
mentioned-
Well,
yeah.
we do,
What-
but-
Right, but what about, no, but your control is that they're inspected.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
that they're inspected by the Board of Health and Fire. But what about, a food truck just coming in, like you said, not that they would want to,
Right.
but parking in our public parking lot?
I personally have no objection to that. I
Yeah.
think that makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure we need.
Violation, because it's public.
It's
I'm
public.
not sure we
We're
need
not
an
re-
ordinance to control
We're,
it.
we're not requesting them to have any type of
Special-
permit.
No.
So.
They would just be able
And
to.
if it became a problem where they were blocking 20 spaces.
Do we-
then-
Right.
we have-
Then we would, well, and they would also be subject to the underlying parking restrictions. So
Which you can't, it's not overnight.
it's not overnight parking. So
All year
So-
long, not overnight,
yeah.
except during those times.
Right.
The winter overflow.
Well, we don't, that's when we enforce
Right.
it, but it is those hours. So
Yeah, yeah.
that could
Right.
be,
Mhm.
you know, definitely enforced
Sure.
for that. But I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
Just so I know.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we get one right there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm there, oh no.
Put this one to
Where's
bed.
my
We can put this one to
liaison?
bed. I think this one's ready to be released without prejudice.
Pretty much consensus here.
I make a motion to move this off our agenda without prejudice.
Second.
Yes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Wow. I thought it's been
You don't
on
have
our-
to struggle
for
with
over
this
a year.
anymore.
Over a year. Okay. And watch. We'll have some sort of crazy food truck issues this
Tomorrow.
spring.
And we'll deal with it.
And we'll deal with it. I mean, that's the thing is we can always deal with it. There's always like,
Right.
you know, now, I believe we had, so plastic bags.
Yeah.
So I did go to Big E's and I talked to one of the managers there, and he said that the company that picks up their, because they would already be in compliance with the ordinance as we kind of envision it.
Mhm.
They do have a receptacle there for plastic bags,
Mhm.
and he said that the people that pick up their bottles and cans take them.
Do they know what they do with it?
I imagine that they bring them to Murph.
I'm imagining
Springfield.
that too, but
I don't know.
I would hate to think that.
They throw them in the trash.
Like our regular trash day pickup,
Yeah.
how you separate it, you sometimes
Yeah.
you hope.
You
I
know,
know.
yeah.
You-
So
You feel good about it, but
You feel good about it, and if it, I would really like to, is there
Yeah, no, we
some
can
way
def-
we could know?
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna go through all of this.
no.
To say, we're not sure where this stuff
wouldn't-
goes, cause there is no end.
I would say that we would not send this out to committee until we are sure where this goes. And because I think there's a couple things we need to sort out here too, like who are we targeting to have these recycling bins? And I feel like I wrote it down somewhere. I had
Is the mayor okay?
get a
You
cold.
okay?
Allergies or
I don't know, like
Cold?
tickly cold, it just keeps coming back.
Do you have a mint or anything?
Oh, I might next time, thank you, I'm good now. But it's kind of embarrassing sometimes, you know?
Yes, yes. It's all good, it's all good.
Okay. So I did not. The one thing I was negligent on is I did not get in touch with CVS or
Rite Aid.
or those Family Dollar. They're basically the places that would be covered by this. I mean, because I think that the threshold for this needs to be kind of a big threat. Like they need to be doing a decent amount of business. Like I know, like the comic book store. Like it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to have a receptacle there if they're sending out a couple comics in a plastic bag, or, you know, I would say it would have to be like a volume.
Mhm.
And that way, if
Does it make sense to have an inventory
like
of the locations?
to like know how many plastic bags they use.
No, to have an
Oh,
inventory
like
of
a-
who uses it, so you just,
Yeah.
because we were saying, I mean, I'm just thinking,
Let's
it may be, my mind's looking at square footage of the space might be one way
Well, that
to
might be a
address
way.
this, that those with small square footage may not be the
Yeah.
heavy use of plastic bags, and that would be one way to be sure we're dealing with the people, because I don't know, I mean, what do you do? We're gonna ask them, how many plastic bags do you use?
Yeah, I know. That's a tough question.
And I think many other communities dealt with square footage
Yeah.
as the control, so, like,
So I wonder what-
Family Dollar has so much square footage, Rite Aid has similar square footage.
Right.
CVS has similar square footage.
So maybe I would
Convenience stores usually have a much smaller square
like
footage.
15,000 square feet, I imagine.
15,
Right? I mean, that's like a
1,500 oftentimes.
for a convenience store.
For a convenience
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
store, maybe 2,000 be our cutoff, but if we had an inventory, we could.
Yeah. So
Kind of
maybe that's
determine-
something we can ask Jessica for. She would probably know that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should share with the mayor.
Oh, yeah, you wanna hear her
our
idea
thoughts
for
of
plastic
the
bags?
Plastic bags.
No, I was just thinking as you were talking, boy, Big E's really has it together, huh? I mean,
Yeah.
they use the
They really do.
they use the recycled bags,
Yeah.
but they also give you those little
register receipts.
Register
If you
receipts.
bring your own bag.
Like, in other words, they, give you a little bonus points to
Yeah.
bring your own.
They're the model.
Your own bag, yeah,
Yeah.
and then the community benefits on that, cause you can choose what you wanna put them in,
Mhm.
and they really got it together.
Yeah,
And
they're-
then they collect them.
They're the
you know?
model.
Yeah, that's pretty, that's
It
pretty
is.
impressive,
It's very good.
you know?
Agree.
And I actually like their bags, I like bags.
Everybody does.
You know?
Hippo
Yeah,
bags.
yeah, everybody
more,
does.
more about those bags this last
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah, but I was just thinking off the top of my head, man, that's pretty good that you're talking about this, and they're like already
Yeah.
doing their
Mhm.
thing.
Doing what we were envisioning essentially.
Yeah, I mean, because, a lot of other places just banned them.
Yeah.
And we felt like, what if people do appreciate having the plastic bags? So if we can help people be more responsible with them, then maybe that would be, maybe we can follow Big E's lead with the ordinance. And so what we've come up with so far is having like a phased thing.
Mhm.
And the first phase that we would try to work on is having, if you are a larger retailer like Big E's, they're already in compliance. CVS,
Yeah.
Family Dollar, Rite Aid, those types of, then the only thing we're asking is that they provide a receptacle to recycle them.
Mhm. Because people are always looking to recycle.
Because you can't recycle them in your normal trash pickup. They won't take them.
Right, and I usually find people that do like have them farm stands, like the farm stands are always
Mhm.
looking for them.
Yeah.
I remember the community center for their
Yeah.
clothes bags and stuff like that, but that's, I don't know,
And then
the most convenient thing for people, cause you know what, if people don't have an easy spot, they're not gonna look.
Well, you know what? I mean, that could be when those places need them, they would know where they could go to grab them.
Exactly.
Because I don't think those places would be like, no, don't take our bags because we want to pay to get them
We wanna pay to
recycled.
have them recycled.
And I remember Big Y too, before had that big giant thing where you could throw all your plastic bags in there. I just haven't noticed it lately, I haven't looked for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's not East Hampton anyway, but I was
Right.
just, they've
Mhm.
I'm
always
not sure if
said
they have
we
that
just,
anymore.
what?
I'm not sure if they have
I
it
don't,
anymore.
I haven't noticed it, and I
No.
hate to say that, that
Right.
it's not there, but I have to say I haven't noticed it.
No.
When it used to, remember when you come through the registers, was there as a big thing and you'd throw your bags in
Mhm.
there? But like you said, for a place that you're shopping at regularly, like Big E's or your dollar stores or any of them, if they have them,
Yeah.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
If people know there's a place to get rid of them and they're using them regularly.
No, it's good.
Or bring your own.
Or bring your own, and that's the second.
Well, that's
That
what
really
he,
is
like,
what
he
that's-
really promotes that.
Yeah.
Big E's really promotes that. And
So
then-
that's
Yeah.
part of their first phase is to have a sign
Pretty cool.
that says East Hampton. East Hampton encourages you to bring your own bag, and if not, please recycle your plastic bag here.
That's nice.
So that's kind of what our ordinance is looking
Nice.
like. Did you look into signs, JP?
I had looked into signs before, and we had talked about, I think stickers, and if you do sticker campaign, it could be like $200, $250, and you can get stickers that
Mhm.
will supply the community. If you go ahead and put, let's say, a sign, I'm imagining Family Dollar, if there was a sign at one of the posts in front of the building, please bring your own, encourage you to bring your own bags, to reusable bags, then that would remind, they're getting out of their car, they see the sign, okay, grab the bag out of the car, bring it in, and help people get into the habit
Awareness.
of doing this, because that's really a kind of a non-ordinance
Mhm.
approach to, because the ordinance we could do is say, hey, we're just gonna ban it.
Yeah.
We're gonna ban plastic bags, or we're gonna charge money for it, and that still we had a lot of response that still has a very sour taste for people, that they'd rather not have the heavy-handed government ordering you to do it, but just, can you prod us to do it? Can you help us to do it? Can you help us to think along these lines?
Well, what you're talking about is more of an awareness.
Yeah.
But if you ban them, wouldn't they have to still supply something like the paper? And
Yeah.
didn't Mike say he had researched all that and the paper was more harmful to the environment than
There's
his
some
green bags?
There's some
You know,
controversy about
but
that.
but
But
I
it
mean, you're
wasn't
still
clear to
getting a
us.
bag, right? You're banning one thing, so that's,
Yeah.
So it wasn't clear to us that
but like
one
you
is any
said,
real better than the other.
reminders where people see it and it's like,
So there would be some amount of money that it would cost them to do the signs and to set up the recycling boxes.
Just think of what kind you want, whether you want the signs like, you know, like signs on a sign, like sign posts, or whether you want something in store windows or.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that.
At the point of sale, at the register,
Like-
just to keep reminding people.
Or,
Mhm.
the register, like
Right.
where.
Yeah.
So all of those would be a
think-
small, I mean, I think $1,000 would cover your signs,
I would
maybe
think
a,
so.
but then somebody to administer this, and so now we have to get some buy-in from someone in the city
Well-
to kind of take that. We could wait for a grant, but if we do that, I'm not sure that that's a great idea to wait for it.
Who would it make sense? The health department?
You know, everyone's gonna say, geez, we got plenty to do, but if we collected enough money to kind of,
One of those healthy grants through, I'm thinking of the healthy grants through Cooley Hicks.
Do we still have an
So-
environmental group, an environmental subcommittee, the Greens? I was on one
we're
for a little
interested
while.
We
in
haven't had-
solar and energy and.
We were supposed to get free solar panels. We won a contest. It was years ago. I don't think we ever got them.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great civic engagement class for a local college or high school too.
And then where would you be putting them on? Would you be putting them on the public property? Because if you're putting them in the store or on the store, then maybe they wouldn't mind having them there. Who
Yeah.
knows, you
Having.
know? Like, where would you think of the sign?
I would think
Well,
on
We see
the
the
store
signs
property.
on store property.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Then
that's
you-
one of the things we've been trying to discuss is, do we create a standardized sign where they're all the uniform?
Yeah.
Or do we just legislate they have to have a sign that states
I
and
think
leave it up to
that's-
them?
I think that's how you'd get the buy-in. I think if we had a contest to create the sign and people,
How about something through the arts,
that's what I
Yeah.
think,
you know?
yeah.
Like.
Ooh,
sign
you know what
up.
would be cool is if we had like a bear fest, but with like containers for the recycling thing.
Pack over his head.
Yeah.
That would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
We're kind of like right out
Like this
here.
thing, if that was a
Yeah.
box, you know, and
Yeah.
each store got a different like artist's box for recycling plastic bags.
That's a cool idea. I like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
Box.
Make it into a fun project.
Yeah, and then maybe we could have like the high school art classes have a contest to design a sign, or
Yeah.
middle school and high school. I don't know. I was pretty impressed with that middle school art when I went to that.
Oh, even the
I couldn't-
grammar school
Yeah.
art, when they had it at Eastworks, not
Yeah.
this year, but 2 years ago, I'm there, what class is this?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you were there, right?
No way.
Yeah.
At the library when the
Yeah.
chorus concert. It blew my mind. I took pictures of it. I was so impressed. I literally took pictures and posted on
Cool.
Facebook.
I'm telling you,
I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
This middle school art.
Yeah.
It was all
Like,
Japanese.
shockingly,
It
and you
was
don't
all
wanna be
Japanese
sh-
inspired.
You feel
and-
embarrassed being shocked that it's so good. You don't want to be, but it.
I know,
Because
but
I remember
kids bring
saying
it
to the
home,
teachers,
like,
"What
really?
class is this again?"
Yeah.
Really impressive.
So,
we
There
kinda-
was a
we kinda-
mural that is like, I thought that would have been an awesome one on one of our buildings coming into it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Kidding me?
Yeah, that'd be
I think
great.
so too.
Yeah.
Once we identified the stores that would be included, we were talking about the possibility of there being a permit.
It would probably even be helpful to them,
And
like
a
stores
fee.
like the Geese, wouldn't this be helpful to them?
Oh yeah.
You know?
I think so.
Because you're not banning the bags.
No.
And a,
Right.
But encouraging them to use their own.
that's right.
Mhm.
So there would be a fee to this process, and the stores would support the costs for the boxes and the artwork and the stickers.
But some of them already have the boxes, right?
Yeah. Well, the only one that has a box is
The fee
Biggies.
is gonna be
That's what I
minimum.
mean, though.
Yeah.
I mean.
It could be as low as $100 per store. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of money, but just enough to offset municipal costs, so we don't have to dig into our budget for this.
So we're gonna have to figure out a couple things. We have to figure out how to write this ordinance. Like, what's it gonna say?
Mhm.
Because we have to compel them to have a receptacle,
Mhm.
and I think that
You're
maybe
gonna require them to, correct?
yeah. Have a recycling receptacle. But I think that this stuff that we are talking about right now is where we kind of bridge the gap of the ordinance. The ordinance doesn't say we work with ECA Plus and try to get, like, cool looking boxes for them. And we also need to make sure the ordinance has like specifics about where the sign should be posted, what the sign should say, and then we can get into kind of like designing the sign, and working with the schools and giving them an option. Because I mean, I think there's two pieces here. One is the actual ordinance and the wording in the ordinance, and making it feasible to implement. And the second piece is how to make this more palatable, how to make this a community thing so we can get buy-in. So we're not just like passing something like, hey, don't use plastic bags and recycle plastic bags, but, well, there's actually a reason behind this, and let's get people involved in this, and let's try to find a way to like make people interested in this. Right, so there's two things. And
Definitely agree.
so who wants to who wants to draft the language here for this one?
I can take a shot at it.
You want to take a shot at it? I mean, I can
It's
definitely.
only fair.
If you take a shot at it, then
Yeah.
you send that to me, and I will give you. I can help with it.
Okay.
I'd be happy to like help you wordsmith it, and because I have, to be fair, I have done it before,
Yeah.
but I would definitely like to help you. I want you to have that opportunity.
Thank you.
And then JP, do you want to like?
Yeah, I certainly would love to participate.
Yeah,
Just I don't
absolutely.
know how that would be, whether we can collaborate.
Do you want to come up with
On a
wording for the
subcommittee,
sign?
Yeah.
It's a subcommittee with a subcommittee, but are we violating open meeting law in terms of drafting a document?
Oh, no.
Trying to come up with something?
No. If Tamara works on it on her own and then emails it to me and I look at it and then I email it to you and look at it and then we don't discuss it and we come back here.
Certainly getting
That's
drafts
perfect.
and reviewing drafts.
Although if we weren't allowed to do that, we would not be able to get anything done. You can't work on anything unless you're in an open meeting.
We certainly can work on it, we just can't. So, I don't think we can pass drafts. I think we can look at a draft, we could do 3 individual drafts and look at each other's drafts and not talk about it or review it until we can together.
No, I think if she gave me a draft, I could work on that draft, or we both could work on that draft, and then we could share that draft, and we could work on that draft. I don't. That's not a
You just
violation.
can't
of open-
deliberate.
We just can't talk about it. That's not a violation of open
Discussion,
meeting law.
right.
So I could like write this really strict, awful ordinance,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't even be able to say.
No, we couldn't say it
What are you thinking?
Until we get here.
Right,
I think
yeah,
that-
The next day when you get a different one.
Yeah. Yeah.
My little
You
joke.
might,
Reword
you're
it.
gonna come up with a great one. We're all gonna do well.
And then there's this idea of like trying to coordinate with ECA Plus for the art, and then the schools
Yeah.
for the sign.
And actually, it's pretty neat because Pasqualina is looking to put together an art program with the students.
Oh, good.
So this
This
would
could be a first
another way
project.
to coordinate, like you're talking both groups anyway,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think that the students have already been trained on this
Oh.
in ways that adults
They're-
just
Yeah.
have not been.
They're ahead,
Yeah.
they're ahead of
So
that.
I think there will be a lot of students that are really excited to be part of that larger social change.
They don't have the bad habits to break
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
I know, it's so
Exactly.
true.
We are exempting restaurants
Yeah.
for takeout. We're exempting the meat, the plastic bags that would go around meats.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even have to exempt them because you can have plastic bags. We're just
Right.
we're just saying you don't have to have a sign like bring your own plastic bag if you're going to Amy's place and
If
take
you go-
out.
Right, if you're doing takeout or going to Nini's.
But I think that they might, I don't think we should exclude them if they want one.
If they want one, yeah,
You know, because if it turns into I'm a cool business, I've got this.
yeah.
Can you go
Yeah.
with
Sure.
food? Is it different with, and which is weird, grocery stores are food, I know, but like that kind of food, is that a health thing about bringing your own bags and having them put stuff in it, like in a restaurant? Is that,
I don't know.
Is it, is that a health thing?
I don't know. I mean, either way, we're not. We
We're
would.
not
we're
doing
not
it.
asking them to.
We're not
encouraging.
doing it anyway.
We're not encouraging people bringing their cloth bags.
But I have a
to
feeling,
restaurants.
I have a feeling
Those
like,
big takeout people.
yeah, I have a feeling that it would be, I have a feeling it would be no problem to have a different type, you know, if you wanted to bring your own bag to Amy's and say, hey, can you put my stuff in this bag? I think they'd be fine with that. I don't think it's a health thing. I mean, if you were bringing a bag and saying put somebody else's food in this and have them take it home, that might be a
That could
problem.
be a problem.
I'll have theirs.
That could be a problem.
All right, so we have a plan for this. I think so. Maybe by our next meeting, let's try to have some wording for this.
Yeah.
And so action plan for next meeting. Let's see if we can talk to Counselor Hayes about the human rights ordinance, and say that we're looking at like maybe just doing a training for the council and trying to be more of advocates to our constituents, and release that potentially, and then we'll keep an eye on planning board for the recreational marijuana. We have the public hearing for the medical, and the signs. So those are 3 kind of planning board things that we need to work with. And then food truck is gone, and then so we'll have some wording for plastic bags.
Wish the food truck was here, I'm hungry.
I know.
It's supper time.
That's right. And that being
Move to
said,
adjourn.
hey, there you go.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Until next time.